Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Terry, and today I'm going to show you how to replace the lower control arm on the front of your BMW Z3. Alright, welcome back to the series where I've been working on the front suspension of the Z3. We went ahead and we did the sway bar. We did the sway bar links and new bushings on there, and we did the tie rod assembly. Now it's time for me to go ahead and do the lower control arm as well as the bushing. So let's go in here and show you how it's done. Alright, so right in here is going to be your lower control arm. I have my one tie rod disassembled just to make it easier for the video as well as doing this, but we have this ball joint right here that we're going to need to pop free. I believe this was a 19mm nut right here. You're going to need to use a regular wrench. You're not going to have room to get a socket on there unless you are planning to replace your struts. Then you can go ahead and remove the strut first, and then you'll have easy access to get in here. I do need to replace these. As you can see, I have fluid leaking out. My struts are no good, but that's going to be a future project when I get ready to do that. So we're going to have to just go in there with a nice tight little fit to get that loose. So we're going to want to bust this ball joint loose first. I took the nut off of the bracket for the end link here because that needs to be separated from the lower control arm. There's then going to be another ball joint up here in the middle of the control arm that goes through the subframe. That was a 22 millimeter nut, I believe, and we're going to tackle getting that nice and loose. And then you'll come over here. We'll have the bushing, and it's got these two nuts right here that we'll need to loosen. And I'll show you, I'm going to be replacing this bushing with a poly bushing. Now, if you want to stick with OEM, you can just take this lollipop off of the control arm, buy a new one with the bushing pre-installed to save you a lot of hassle. I don't want OEM rubber bushings, so I'll be showing you guys how to put polys in. So let's go ahead and take all this stuff apart. I had to move my steering knuckle all the way to the other way because the direction I need to twist this to loosen this nut was making my steering knuckle spin. So now that I spun it all the way that way, now I should hopefully be able to get out here and loosen this up. There, we got it. Alright, now that I broke it loose, we'll continue spinning that off. You're not going to be able to get the nut completely off because it's going to make contact with the strut right here unless you remove that. So we're just going to thread this as much as I can get it. Then I'm going to take my pickle fork and get it to drop the ball joint out, and then we'll be able to have this fall down to get the last few threads of this out. Alright, so you're going to need to get up here. It's going to be a tight fit. Now, on the left-hand side, you can take a long extension and go through the top and come down and get a 22 millimeter socket on it. And so the left-hand side is very easy to change out. Right-hand side, you can't go from the top because your exhaust and everything's going to be in your way. So you're going to need to get a 22 millimeter wrench. If you have a ratcheting wrench, that'll be your best friend. To get this nut that's up here loose. So we went ahead and got the nut on the ball joint nice and loose. We're going to crack this one loose. We're not going to remove it. We're just going to get it loose. This way, once we pop the ball joint out, there won't be any, this won't be like flexing around a lot. This way we'll have this already loose. And then we'll go and work on the bushing over here after. So it's going to be a nice tight fit up in here, but you got to get that one nut loose. Alright, so I went ahead and I got the nut removed from the middle ball joint. So now we're going to go and take a pickle fork and bust this sucker free right here so we can get the nut to come off of there. Alright, and then now that fell down, we can get that the rest of the way off. Alright, so it was free spinning on me, so what I did is I took some vice grips to put it underneath where the knuckle is, so that way I can continue to thread off that nut. Alright, this ball joint is now removed from the steering knuckle. I put the bolt back on, or the nut back on, but it's free. So now you have these two fasteners right here. You're just going to pop them out, and then we'll do a little bit of shimmying in the middle, and the whole thing should fall right off. Alright, that's all out. So now we just got to hit that middle ball joint, and it should fall right out. So I just go in there with a pickle fork and give it a little wedge action, and then hopefully it'll fall right out.
Good.
And she's free! Alright.
Hit you, did it?
No, it didn't get me.
Damn, that came out faster than I thought it would.
Woo! And that's how you get the lower control arm off. You gotta beat it hard. Alright, so then here is the bushing. Now, if yours is super wore out, you could probably just pull it right off. But mine's not that bad on this one. The other side, I did have cracks. This one looks like it's in pretty good shape. So what I'm gonna do is take my drill and drill some holes on here and here to bust this free so I can get the lollipop off. And after drilling, you're able to pull the lollipop off like so. Next step is I'll have to put some cuts into this metal ring and bash it out so I can reuse the bracket and put my poly bushing in there. Alright, but it's late, it's dark, can't see nothing. So we're going to stop here and we're going to pick this up in the morning. Alright everybody, it's a new day and we're going to go and continue where I left off. Now, I had removed the lower control arm bracket, also referred to as the lollipop, from the old control arm. So now all I got to do is go ahead and cut out and punch out the metal ring of the old bushing so I could put in my poly bushings. And I am going with Revshift bushings once again. I used Revshift bushings on the rear of the car, and I actually preferred those over the PowerFlex ones that I had originally bought. So I converted over to Revshift, and so I'm going to continue with that, and I'm going to use Revshift on the front. So let's go ahead and get my Dremel and everything put together, and we'll start hacking into this. Now you just want to be careful that you don't cut into the actual bracket itself. You just want to get that inner ring. So it takes some doing. It's tedious. It's not hard, it's just tedious. It takes some time to eventually get it out, but you'll get it done. Alright, you want to make sure you're wearing protection. So I'm going to have some gloves on. Some eye protection is always good too. You will be throwing sparks around. And then what I want to do is just try to slice in here the best I can. You can even, what I've done on the rear differential bushing when I was replacing that is I cut like a triangle in and bent it over so I have something to kind of pound on. So that stuff kind of helps. Alright, so what I've done is I put a couple cuts in it, and then I used one of my blunt punches, and I started to hammer down where I cut to start bending it in, and I kind of just work my way around so I can weaken one side. This allows there to be kind of gaps to get in there. I can then put some silicone spray or some WD or whatever kind of spray you got to kind of help lubricate to kind of seep in there, and then you'll be able to punch it right out. Just got to make sure that you're not punching it directly on a flat surface, because otherwise you're just going to be hitting the outside ring and it's not going to punch out. So you're going to want to, you know, kind of punch it on an angle. If you have a table vise, that's ideal, because then you can put the bracket in a vise and it'll be real easy to tap it out. Unfortunately, I don't have a vise, so I have to do it by like holding it and tapping it out, which makes it more difficult, but it can be done. I accomplished this on the left hand side, so I know I can do the same thing with this one. It's just going to take some it takes some time to do it this way, but it can be done. Now if you have a friend that can help you to where they can hold it and you can hammer, it makes it a lot easier. My buddy Tyler's not here right now, but he should be joining me. So if I can't get this out before he gets here, then I might just wait for him to get here. But I'll try to do what I can with tapping it out on my own. Alright, so we successfully bashed the heck out of it. So like I cut into it some so we could kind of bend it down and get some surface area. And we kind of worked on both ends of it to kind of get like an air pocket around it. And then we kind of set it between two pieces of wood to where just the outer lip of the bracket is there, so we can kind of pound it through, and we eventually got it. I think we wasted at least 30 minutes bashing on it, but we got it to finally get the ring out. I only got a couple little nicks in the bracket itself, so I can just kind of smooth those out, and it'll be fine. Alright, so I took a sanding stone and smoothed it out, and then I just took some old chrome paint that I had, and I just spritzed that over where I was sanding it, just to help give it some protection from rust. So all I got to do now is I'll put some red and tacky grease all along in here, and I'll slip in my Revshift poly bushing. Usually the bushings come with grease. They didn't send any grease with these ones, but that's okay. I got my red and tacky. It'll do the same thing. And then you want this outer ring to be facing the side so where the control arm goes in. So the control arm will be pushing it in to the bracket. If you put it on the opposite way and the control arm's in, it may slide or walk this out the back. So you want to make sure that this lip is getting pushed up against the bracket. So I went ahead and I put the grease in. This will just easily slide in. But this will mount into the car. So like this is going to be, this side here is where the front of the car would be. So the control arm is going to slide in this way, and it's going to push this lip against the bracket. So this won't fall out. Alright, and then here is the new control arm. This is Lemforder. It'll come with the new nuts that'll go on your ball joints. So this one's got a new one, and this one's got a new one here. So we can go ahead and slip that in. And your lollipop bushing that we just did will slide right on here. We'll get it when I get both hands, but go ahead and we can wiggle it in there. Alright, just like that. And now we can go ahead and mount it into the car. So what you want to do is you want to get your middle one in first. Just get the nut on their finger tight so it don't fall out. Then you can go ahead and do this one, and then do this one last. Alright, so go ahead and seat the middle ball joint in first. Just put the nut on top, finger tight just to hold it. After you get that in, you may need to take your steering knuckle here and rotate it in towards the front here. And then you'll be able to get your bracket here for the bushing to sit right on top of those dowels. And then I just got these in finger tight for the moment. So that's holding there. And then you take your little bracket for the end link, and you get that to sit in there, and you can get your ball joint right here to sit in there, and then get all your fasteners on finger tight, and then we can go and get everything torqued down. Alright, so now I went ahead and I got this bolt just on finger tight for the end link bracket, and I got the ball joint in here. This is just on finger tight. It is a nylon lock nut, but I'm going to add a little thread locker to it for good measure, just because these ones don't have the cotter pin and castle nut set up to ensure it doesn't back out. So I put a little thread locker under too, just for extra good measure, because I really don't want this backing out. Alright, and just so that way you all can get your torque specs, this is where everything is right here. So your control arm ball joint to the subframe, that's going to be that middle one. That's 62 pound-feet. Again, you're probably not going to be able to get a torque wrench in there, but maybe you'll have some specialty tools and you can do that. I'm just going to get it as tight as I can get it and call it good enough, because I don't have any way to properly torque that. Then you have the control arm bushing carrier to the body. That's the, if I remember, that's the one where we put the poly bushing right back there. Those are 34 pound-feet. And then you have the control arm ball joint to the steering arm. That one's going to be 45 pound-feet. So that's going to be the one going right here. Now, there's no way to torque that with the strut still attached. So if you're going through this and you're replacing your struts at the same time, go ahead and torque this down, then put your new strut in. That way you'll have proper access to that to do that. I'm not doing that, so I'm going to have to just get this as tight as I can get it to where I feel, comfortable. And then that's all you got to do. And then you got your stabilizer, control arm stuff on here too, which is 44 pound-feet. Just take note that you're going to want to jack up on the bottom of the ball joint here and torque that down, so that way there's some load on it. And that will cover all that. I got everything nice and tight, so all I got to do now is take this in to get the alignment done, and then this will be done for now. And then in the future, I will be doing the struts. It's very expensive, so I just don't have that in my means right now. Stay tuned. I will be having videos coming really soon. I'm going to be doing the power steering reservoir and hose replacement, so that way I can fix that power steering leak. And I'm going to be doing the oil filter housing gasket as well, and that should hopefully solve my oil leak. Fingers crossed that it's not the oil pan gasket. I'm hoping it's just that housing gasket just dripping everything down here. So we'll be knocking that out real soon. All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching the video. Now you know how to replace the lower control arm on your BMW Z3. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed the series of me going through the front suspension components on the Z3. Make sure you check out all the videos. If you haven't seen those all, they're all going to be right here on the channel. And make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future content for the Z3. Give it a like, leave a comment, and I'll catch you on the next video. Take care, all.